league.
Yep.
35%. He's not even the highest percentage. It's Vince Carter at 37.
Yeah, Vince Carter. I don't even remember the stat, but I think his first day in the NBA to like the age of players born now, it's awesome. And he did it at a high level for so long. Vince Carter never gets brought up in these conversations as all-time great.
He really doesn't.
He's up there.
And
dunk competitions, Team USA.
Right, but when you think of like the 90s basketball and early 2000s, right, you got Allen Iverson, you got Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter, and Michael Jordan. You talk about that we talk about that all the time as far as aura goes, right? And Vince Carter is arguably one of the best dunkers of all time, but the fact that he's played for so long shows like his durability was absolutely like what kind of put him.
You know what I think? To me, you know what he is? He's Roy Jones. So Roy Jones was the best fighter in the world. Not that Vince Carter was the best player, but he was an elite basketball player. And I think he hung on for so long that he became average.
Right.
Roy Jones started getting knocked through the ropes at the end of his life. He might be still in boxing for all I know. Crazy stat. I think it was 1998. Vinny Testaverde threw 29 touchdowns for the Jets.
29 touchdowns.
For 29 different receivers.
Oh, I don't know if I can name all. But
I don't think I can name 4, but 29 touchdowns at 29 different receivers.
Is Wayne Kerbeck one of them?
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But I saw it, and I haven't done the chance to do the research, but 29 touchdowns to 29. I mean, how's there even 29 people on the team?
Injuries. It had to be injuries. I mean,
it's got to be 4 or 5 backs, a couple fullbacks, 3 or 4 tight ends, maybe an offensive lineman, maybe 6 receivers.
They pulling out
it would have to
the
be
magic with the offensive line getting a touchdown.
I couldn't even tell you
back then.
Couldn't even tell you.
Who's the coach back then?
98.
Was it Parcells? No, it wasn't Parcells, right?
Parcells might have still been there, actually.
Yeah, it could have been Parcells.
Let's see. When was Keyshawn drafted?
Mid-90s.
Yeah, so he might have been just and if not, oh my God, I remember the guy that took over for him. I forget his name. He used to wear like the sweater vests. He was a Giant coach too. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. But how do we do this and not talk about Wayne Gretzky?
I knew you were saving this stat.
I got a lot. But Wayne Gretzky won the scoring title by more than 70 points 6 times.
6 times, wow.
So 6 times he won the scoring title, where the next closest guy in the NHL was 70 points away from him.
So it's 420 points total.
Over that time.
Just over that time.
No, more than that. 420 total, yeah. That's like that's a half a Hall of Fame career. That's a half Hall of Fame career. And, I think he got 11 straight. If he never scored a goal, he still would have 11 straight seasons with 100 points.
11 straight.
Yeah. And out of those 11, I think he would have still won 4 titles if you never took a goal away from him.
Yeah, and people think Connor McDavid's going to be one of the best players.
He might be. I don't think he's different those stats. Think about that. He never scores a goal. He wins 11, or he scores 100 points 11 straight years and wins 4 scoring titles. And we all know the stat of if he never scored a goal in his career, which to this moment, he's still the all-time leading goal scorer. You take all those goals away, all 894, he's still the all-time leading point scorer in the NHL.
That's an insane stat. Yeah, and that shows how good he really was in the NHL. I mean, when you think of the NHL, too, back then, there was top talent. Like, it was good quality talent. It wasn't like he's playing against some ponies.
Well, he wasn't. But the talent was there. The goaltending early in the 80s didn't really catch up until, I would say, mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
And those 90s guys, to me, the best goalies of all time are still Robert and Hasek.
Yeah.
And they had mid-80s to 90s. So, but there was a window in there probably from like 79, 80 up until like 84, 85 where that game was just wide open. 8-6 games. And that probably made for a better game, better viewing entertainment for hockey fans. But
jeez. Any other Wayne Gretzky stats?
I mean, he's got 60 records. I'm sure there's a bunch I could think of, but I mean, those that to me stand out. Nolan Ryan. I think Nolan Ryan struck out 7 father-son combinations.
7 father-son.
That's how long that guy pitched.
It's Ken Griffey Jr.
I'm pretty sure those are 2 of them. But I don't know who they actually are.
Which alone's pretty
But
good.
the fact that the fact that there's 7 fathers in the combination period, and he struck out, and he gave Robert Ventura a beating. To your similar point about Jerry Rice and Tyreek Hill, if you had 250 strikeouts a year for 22 years straight, you still wouldn't beat Nolan Ryan's number.
You still win.
Still 5,000.
You wouldn't even come remotely close.
Do the math on that quick, but
yeah,
you'd be just underneath it. You'd be close, but 22 years at 250. And the game's changed so much that guys don't do that anymore. Although people do strike out at a tremendous rate, but he used to throw, 150 pitch complete games.
That's insane.
Like on average. So he's got some.
To add to the football, so Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, and I believe it's Phillip Rivers holds the record for 85 and above passing percentage for their overall career. Consecutive years.
That's crazy.
So everyone who thinks Matthew Stafford is not a good quarterback just because he's on the Rams and he did win a Super Bowl with the Rams, but sometimes people forget about how great of a quarterback he was of all time. So let's put it to rest that he's not a good quarterback. He had, Calvin Johnson with the Detroit Lions, but Calvin Johnson was a freak athlete, so people put him as on the back end of 20 to 30 of all time. But Matthew Stafford has broke some serious freaking records.
Well, Matthew Stafford was the first overall pick coming out of college, and he went to the Detroit Lions. So anything that guy did in that uniform, and I believe he took him to the playoffs.
He's getting picked on.
Yeah, that says a lot. And he's up there. I mean, the guy won a Super Bowl. The first year out of Detroit, he won the Super Bowl. And then the thing is, he's been banged up to follow those years, and that's probably why.
True. It's back.
But I wouldn't sleep on them in the West this year.
No.
They got some talent. If they can stay healthy, Cooper Kupp and him, they might challenge the Niners.
Yeah, and Piku too.
It was a 30-year span where I believe from 1984 to 2013, drafted quarterbacks by the Kansas City Chiefs. Every quarterback they drafted in that 30 window only had 2 wins. 30 years of drafted quarterbacks only had 2 wins. So other wins came from other guys, Montana, guys like DeBurr, guys that weren't drafted by them.
Oh my God, that's an ironic stat. 2 wins.
2 wins.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, I think we kind of went through everything that we wanted to cover today.
Yeah, I mean, we should probably throw a 20-win stat in there somehow.
With the hitting?
I mean, there's plenty. What do you want to do? I think if
average.
I mean, I don't remember. I think I saw something with him and Pete Rose where Pete Rose came back to baseball and I think had 750 plate appearances and had 750 hits in those appearances, batted 1,000. He still would not have had a high career average.
Still wouldn't.
No. And I think Gwynn faced Pedro, Glavine, Schmaltz, and Maddox 323 times in his career.
That's a stacked rotation.
And he only struck out 3 times.
3 times?
Out of 323 at-bats.
That's
against those 4.
That might be one of the best baseball stats.
I mean, he's got some crazy
Those guys are Hall of Famers.
They're the best that's ever played. And he faced him 323 times, which is almost like a season.
And he struck out 3 times.
3 times against the greatest.
Did he walk?
Oh, I'm sure he walked.
Yeah,
323 official at bats.
I mean, you're going against guys that throw 95 to 100,
or guys like Maddox that he just threw that ugly sinking fastball, that 2-seam that didn't look like a strike. So
yeah, that's wild. All right, so we'll wrap it up this week, but next week we got some guests coming on. Shout out to Richmond Webb. He was an offensive lineman for the Dan Marino years with the Miami Dolphins, and we're also forward to interviewing those guys and talking up shop. Thanks, Bob.
That's good. Thanks, Mom.